To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.
So my dear children, in the earlier chapter we discussed questions regarding our textbook. So these questions were mainly focusing about the artificial environment and the green concept. So now it's time to discuss several extra questions related to the lesson. Right. So the first question given, green concept is growing trees and plants for more vegetation, obtaining a green color area by increasing vegetation, following policies so that natural environment is not harmed. None of the above. So you have to select the most accurate answer. So growing trees and plants for more vegetation. Next one, obtaining a green color area by increasing the vegetation. Following policies so that the natural environment is not harmed. So my dear children, out of these responses, the accurate one would be following policies that the environment is not harmed. So that is the one which we practice in green concept, my dear children. Okay, so it's not focusing about mainly about the vegetation. Mainly it's going to focus about the environment, which is not going to be harmed, or we are not going to harm the environment. Okay, especially from greenhouse gases and from other effluents. Next one, in this complex, energy is obtained from solar energy, geothermal energy and biofuel powerhouses. So in this complex, my dear children, the first and foremost complex that we have discussed under the lesson part was the German parliamentary building, and over there we discussed that 80% of the energy is getting produced by the building itself by using what? By using renewable energy sources like solar energy, geothermal energy and so on. Okay, so our answer would be German parliamentary building. This is our answer. Right then, the next question. This is also called as the bird's nest. The bird's nest. Can you remember, my dear children, the bird's nest? According to that special structure, right? The bird's nest, like a bird's nest, right? So that special structure was created at the Beijing National Sports Complex. So that special structure, because of having that special structure, it is named as the bird's nest. So our answer should be Beijing National Sports Complex. This housing complex utilizes renewable energy only. A Beijing National Housing Complex. There's no sort of thing like that, right? Next one given, Bud Clark Commons Housing Complex. Next one, K2 Housing Project. Next one given, German Parliamentary Building. So the correct answer for this thing would be, right? The correct answer for this thing would be not the Beijing National Housing Complex, because there's no such thing like that. Okay. Bud Clark Commons Housing Complex, K2 Housing Project, German Parliamentary Building. So my dear children, the housing complex which utilizes only the renewable energy is K2 Housing Project. K2 Housing Project. This is the one which used, right, mainly in mainly production of renewable energy only. Okay, renewable energy only. So to produce energy within this particular housing project, it uses renewable energy only, renewable energy sources only. Okay, right. Then the next one, not a greenhouse gas, right? Not a greenhouse gas. Carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, oxygen gas. So we know that carbon dioxide is a good example for a greenhouse gas, right? It is a good example for a greenhouse gas. So my dear children, carbon dioxide is a good example for a for a greenhouse gas given in here. The next one given, methane. Methane is also a good example for a greenhouse gas. Next one, nitrous oxide. Once again correct, right? Once again it is a good example for greenhouse gas. So the one which is not a greenhouse gas is oxygen gas. Oxygen gas. Next one, main cause of increase in greenhouse gases in atmosphere. Main cause of increase in greenhouse gases in atmosphere. Droughts and changes in climate. Air pollution. Increase in global warming. Environment pollution. Main cause of increase in greenhouse gases in an atmosphere. So when increase in greenhouse gases in atmosphere, my dear children, it would terribly increase the temperature of our biosphere. That means, my dear children, the main cause is increase in global warming. Increase in global warming. Right. Question number 7. Growing plants which can withstand drought conditions is a practice followed in Elmwood Court Complex, Beijing National Sports Complex, German Parliamentary Building, K2 Housing Project in Australia. So, growing plants which can withstand drought conditions. This is a practice which is specially followed in the Elmwood Court Complex, my dear children. Okay, this is observed in USA, right? And 40% of the water is cut down by using these kinds of methods. Next one, this project saves energy worth about 60,000 USD annually. Energy worth about 60,000 USD annually. Elmwood Housing Complex. Bud Clark Commons Housing Complex. Next one given, German Parliamentary Housing. K2 Housing Project in Australia. So actually Elmwood Court Complex is the correct one. Bud Clark Commons Housing Complex, my dear children, which was located in USA, that is the one which saves about 60,000 USD annually, right? 60,000 USD annually. Right, then the next question, my dear children. Question number 9. The figure shows, as you can see, the figure is going to show, it's a clear vision and a clear figure, my dear children. You can clearly observe the structure of it. It's like a bird's nest. So can you remember, I told you the structure can be observed within the Beijing National Sports Complex. Can you remember? It's also called as the bird's nest. It's mainly because of the structure, the special structure, the shape of the sporting complex. So go for the answer, Beijing National Sports Complex. So can you remember, I told you that this was implemented in order to host the 2008 Olympics, right? Then the next one, another figure given here is another figure. Now this figure shows Elmwood Court Complex, Bud Clark Commons Housing Complex, German Parliamentary Housing, K2 Housing Project in Australia. So as you can see, this is not like a housing complex, right? It's like a building. So my dear children, we came across with two kinds of housing projects. One thing is K2 Housing Project and the other one is Bud Clark Commons Housing Complex. So we can ignore those two answers. The German Parliamentary Building can also be ignored because there was no housing scheme over there. So our remaining answer should be the correct one, which is the Elmwood Court Complex. So this is the Elmwood Court Complex. As you can see, there are drought-resistant plants which are grown over the areas near to it. Okay, so these that can be observed within the Elmwood Court Complex. Right, then the next one. Right, children, then the next question. Question number 11. This complex uses devices to purify bathroom effluents to be used in toilets and fiberglass windows. So, there were two housing complexes. One of the housing complexes is going to use this feature. So, devices to purify bathroom effluents to be used in toilets and fiberglass windows. So, my dear children, you have to choose the correct answer over here, right? So, the question given, the complex uses devices to purify bathroom effluents to be used in toilets and fiberglass windows. So, Elmwood Court Complex, Bud Clark Commons Housing Complex, German Parliamentary Building, K2 Housing Project in Australia. So, our correct answer would be Bud Clark Commons Housing Complex. Right, then the next question, my dear children. Question number 12. 80% of the total electricity requirement is produced within the building itself. So, 80% of the total electricity requirement. So, this was a practice which was used in the German parliamentary building. It's because, my dear children, over there, like most of the energy sources which were used, right? Those things were renewable energy sources, right? Those things were renewable energy sources. So, from those renewable energy sources, 80% of the energy requirement, especially here the electricity requirement, was completed. So, our answer would be German parliamentary building. Next one, the figure shows, so this is the figure which is given. As you can see, it's very clear to us that this is a housing complex, my dear children, with several windows and other structures. You can clearly observe that this is a housing complex. So, there were two housing complexes which were studied within the lesson part. So, this housing complex is going to refer, or it's going to reflect about Elmwood Court Complex. No, it should be housing one. Bud Clark Commons Housing Complex. Yes, this should be our answer. Right? This should be our answer. Next one, the figure shows the second one. Second one also reflects about a housing complex, my dear children. So, within this housing complex, you can clearly observe the structures and the rooms which are available according to the structure, right? So, this housing project is the K2 housing project in Australia. So, this is the K2 housing project in Australia, and over there you can observe the Bud Clark Commons housing complex, right? So, these are the ones which we have studied under the housing complexes. Okay, right then. Question number 15. The figure shows a certain symbol. This is symbol of natural ecosystem, symbol of green concept, the symbol of German parliamentary building, symbol of eco-friendly fuel. So, can you remember this image, right? So, this was a logo regarding the green concept, my dear children, right? So, this particular symbol, we use this thing in order to show the green concept. I told you that if the symbol like that is there in a certain building or any kind of a place, that means that complex or the building is following green concept. So, this is about the symbol of green concept. Green concept. Next one, a green concept practice. Now, you have to select a green concept practice out of these things. Growing plants as much as possible. Growing agricultural crops as much as possible. Using renewable energy sources to generate electricity. Using fossil fuel to generate electricity. So, my dear children, green concept is not going to reflect about growing plants as much as possible or growing agricultural crops as much as possible, or else burning fossil fuel to generate electricity. Green concept always mentioning favorable conditions for the environment. How we can provide favorable conditions to the environment? By reducing the emission of greenhouse gases. So, using renewable energy sources like sunlight, wind, we can minimize the emission of greenhouse gases to the environment. Burning fuel to generate electricity is not a green concept practice. Okay, so therefore our answer should be third one, which is the renewable energy sources thing to generate electricity. Okay, so this should be our answer. Question number 17. The production process that promotes the well-being of the agricultural environmental system, microbial activity in soil is organic farming, green concept, agricultural farming, chemical farming. So it's very clear to us, my dear children, the production process that promotes the well-being of the agricultural agricultural environmental system and the microbial activity in the soil. So this is very important, the microbial activity. So you know that by doing organic farming, we can enhance the microbial activity because we are going to use only plant and animal materials over here. So therefore, my dear children, our answer would be organic farming. It is a type of a green concept. It is not considered as the agricultural farming. There is nothing like that. And chemical farming, that means using chemical substances, that is also incorrect. So our correct answer would be organic farming, my dear children. Organic farming. Next one. A heavy metal contained in chemicals. It's asking about a heavy metal, not about a gas or any kind of other effluent. It's asking about it is asking about a heavy metal. Methane, gold, hydrogen, mercury. So we can ignore methane and hydrogen for sure. It's because, my dear children, you know that those things are not metals, but those things are gases, right? So we can ignore it. Gold, you know that even we wear gold, right? Even, my dear children, pure gold is edible. Sometimes for some kinds of desserts, right? Some chefs, they are using pure gold, 24 karat gold, right? Some small bit of particles. We can even eat these things without any trouble. So it's not a heavy metal. Our answer would be then mercury. We have learned about the mercury, my dear children. I told you that different kinds of cosmetics and other chemical substances contain mercury as the main heavy metal. Okay, right. Then the next one, question number 19. Not a component that can be used to make organic fertilizer. Not a component. Okay, that means you should remove the you should when you take this substance, it should not be an organic substance. That means it should be an artificial made substance. Okay, waste food, correct, no problem at all. Cow dung, once again correct. Natural materials, no, any natural material can be used without any trouble to generate or to create compost, right? Next one, human excretory substances. Once again correct. Then the fourth one should be our answer, small plastic covers. Of course, you can't use these things because you know that plastic covers, those things are artificial materials. Even the plastic covers are not getting biodegradable, right? It will take long time to biodegrade plastic. So we can't make compost by using plastic. Next one. A benefit of organic farming increases the soil fertility. Benefit of organic farming, of course it is correct. It is going to increase the soil fertility, right? Soil is going to fertile when you do organic farming. That is correct. Next one, minimize the spread of communicable diseases like CKD. So non-communicable diseases like CKD, minimize the spread of. Yes, of course it is going to minimize because you know that different kinds of chemicals which we use in like agricultural purposes, there is a high potential to increase the CKD, right? Non-communicable diseases like CKD. So if those things are going to increase the probability, then my dear children, by doing organic farming, we can decrease it. So this is correct. Increases the health and minimize the medical issues. Once again correct, right? It's going to increase the health of our body, and also, my dear children, it's going to minimize the medical issues, right, because of the organic farming. So all of these things are correct. All the above should be our answer. Then the next one, question 21. Practice used in organic farming. Using chemical fertilizer. It is not a good one. We don't use chemical fertilizer in organic farming. Use of traditional agricultural practices. Of course, this should be our answer. In organic farming, my dear children, always we are using environment favorite factors. So traditional agricultural processes and practices are very much, pretty much, right? Okay, very much or pretty much environment friendly. So therefore, my dear children, these usage of traditional agricultural practices is a practice used in organic farming. Using weedicides, using fungicides, those things are not correct for this thing, my dear children, because you know that in these cases we use chemical fertilizers and chemical substances. So it is not correct. Next one, insect repelling substance. Insect repelling substance. Juice of neem seed, lime leaves, Dahaspetia flowers. So insect repelling substance, lime leaves are correct. We know that for sure. Dahaspetia flower is also providing a good scent. So that is also correct. Then juice of neem seed, also correct, my dear children. So all of these substances, all of these components can be used as insect repelling substances. So all of these things are correct, my dear children, right? All of these things are correct then. Then the question number 23. Dear Holmaner is made to. So can you remember we discussed that this Dear Holmaner thing, the structure is created near a Wakkada area in a paddy field. So when this thing is going to hit the water, a heavy sound is going to emit, and because of that, birds are going to fly away, right? So it's a trick to chase away birds, okay, which are observed in the paddy field. So protect paddy field from insects, protect paddy field from mice, protect paddy field from birds, all the above. So it is made to protect paddy field from birds, especially from birds, okay, made especially to protect from birds, okay, right. Question number 24 then. To protect paddy in a paddy field from mice, best option as per to green concept. Adding poison, incorrect, my dear children, because you know that poison means these things are regarding, like pesticides. So pesticides are not that much green, okay. Green means actually I'm not talking about the color. Green means in the sense here, it's not following the green concept, okay. So my dear children, it's not a good answer. We should not add poison, okay. Next one, using chemical repelling substances, right? Using chemical repelling substances. Next one, allow birds such as owls perch on them and hunt the mice. So using chemical repelling substances, once again you can observe the chemical letter. So right, chemical word called chemical. So the chemical things, you know that chemical things are not good. So therefore we can ignore this answer as well. So allow birds such as owls to perch on them and hunt the mice. This should be our answer, right? It's a good practice because we use biological pesticides, right? Because we use here biological pesticide, okay. Biological means organism. So we use different kinds of an organism to catch the other one, okay. So it is good. Next one, question 25. The reservoir used to store water during dry season is waterfall, river, dam and a tank or else weber. So reservoir used to store water during dry season. Can you remember, my dear children? This is very easy. This is the structure made by ancient kings to store water. So this is the one which is referred as the tank or else the weber. Waterfall is incorrect. River once again incorrect. Actually, by like damped in a river, we are going to make a dam. Then we are going to create a tank, my dear children. Okay, right. The given system shows a system to collect rainwater, drip irrigation, compost bin, biogas unit. So as you can see here, when you look at the figure very well, the tube system or the tunnel system is coming straight from the up, my dear children. That means from the roof. Means it's going to collect rainwater which is coming from the roof. So this is a system, a special system which can be used to collect rainwater. Some might think that this is a compost bin or else a biogas unit. No, my dear children, but this is a system which can be used to collect rainwater. As you can see by looking at these tubes or the pipelines, you can clearly identify it. Okay, then the question number 27. Water drips in the form of droplets from small emitters in pipes. This is used in, so can you remember, my dear children, we during the drip irrigation method, we laid several pipes and over there was special structures, small devices which are referred as emitters, and these emitters are going to release water in the droplet form towards the root system of a plant. Okay, so here droplet form, right, water drips in the form of droplets from small emitters in the pipes, and this technology was used in then drip irrigation, right, drip irrigation, my dear children, right, the best method to do the irrigation for an agricultural land. Next one, management and development of the land resource is called, very simple, my dear children, management and development of the land resource. They are asking about the land resource over here. So managing and the development of the land resource according to the green concept can be called as, or it is referred as, the land management. It is the land management, right? It's a concept that we follow in green concept idea, right? However, we can't take green concept because it is showing a very large or else a widely expressed extent. So therefore, our correct answer would be land resource, development and management of land resource. Only they are mentioning about the land resource, so therefore our answer would be land management, land management. Then, my dear children, the next question. A step used in land management. So you have to select a step that is used in land management. Okay, so let's see what are the responses. Making a soil texture suitable for agriculture. Absolutely correct. So we are going to first of all, dig and create a good soil structure suitable for agriculture. Okay, next one, making a good draining system in the land. Once again correct, because to provide a good water supply and in order to remove excess water from the agricultural land, we have to create a good drainage system. So it is absolutely correct, no issue in that. Next one, improving the quality of soil by applying fertilizers. Once again correct, my dear children. Once again it is correct. By applying different kinds of fertilizer. I told you how to add fertilizer, very less amount of chemical but more amount of organic. That should be the correct method. Or else if you can add totally organic substances or total organic fertilizers, then it would be great. But however, I told you that now our soil has been used to some kind of chemical substances. So we have to step by step minimize it. Otherwise it would create terrible problems. So applying quality fertilizer to improve the quality of soil is also a good example or good step in land management. So all of these three are correct. So my dear children, all of these are considered as, right, all of these things are considered as steps in land management, right? Then the next one, an advantage of sustainable management of agricultural lands. Advantage of sustainable management of agricultural lands. So you have to select an advantage. Sustainable management of agricultural lands. Let's see the responses then. Improving productivity. Of course, it is correct. Productivity is definitely going to improve if you are going to use, right, or if you are going to manage these agricultural lands sustainably. Okay, definitely it's going to improve the productivity or the yield. Next one, reducing production risk. Once again correct, right? Once again correct. Once again, the production risk of getting disasters or any other troubles is getting minimized if you manage the land or manage the agricultural land well. Okay. Next one, minimizing disasters. Once again correct, my dear children. The same thing, right? Production risk means facing into several disasters. So these disaster conditions can be minimized, or we can lower down the probability of getting disasters if you have managed or if you have prepared a good land system, or if you have managed the land very well. Okay, so our answer would be, my dear children, all of these things. So all of these things can be considered as advantages of sustainable management of agricultural lands. So all of these, each and every these things can be observed if you have managed the certain land very well and sustainably. And also, my dear children, if you have managed it very well, then that means these things are going to follow up with the green concept idea. Okay, right, then we are going to move to question number 31 and 32. Let's see. Cultivating one or more crops along with one main crop in a same land is called cultivating one or more crops. Cultivating one or more crops. So here this is important. Cultivating one or more crops. That means 2 or 3 or any other. So cultivating one or more crops along with one main crop. Along with one main crop in a same land. Now this should be carried out in the same land. So what is this? Land management. Incorrect. This is not the land management, my dear children. You know that within land management, we are just going to manage the land and that's it. We are not going to talk about the crops or any other things which are going to plant on the land. Next one, horticulture. Once again incorrect. In horticulture, we are not going to discuss about these things, right? That's not regarding the agriculture. That's like maintaining our housing schemes, right? Or else in gardens. We use those things at housing schemes and gardens mainly. Next one, mixed crop cultivation. Yes, my dear children, this should be our answer, right? Mixed crop cultivation, because one or more crops in the same land with one main crop. Okay, with one main crop. So this is reflecting about the mixed crop cultivation, but not crop rotation. It's not crop rotation. Crop rotation means, my dear children, here within a certain season we are going to plant several, right? Several means one by one each we are going to repeat like a cycle. Crop rotation. Okay, so this is the answer, mixed crop cultivation. That is the answer for the question number 31. Next one, in this method, several crops are grown in the same plot of land from season to season according to an order. Now see, in this method, several crops are grown. Several crops are grown in the same plot of land season to season according to an order. That means, my dear children, from one particular cereal to a leguminous one. Then once again to a different yam kind of a thing. Now this is reflecting about, this system is reflecting about not the land management, not the horticulture, not mixed crop cultivation, but crop rotation. This is about the crop rotation then. Okay, within the same plot of land, several crops are grown in the same plot of the land. Several crops are grown from season to season, according to a certain order, one after the other. So this is the one which is referred as the crop rotation. Okay, crop rotation. Right then. Question number 33. Producing variety of Run Sahal is an example for. Now you know that, my dear children, Run Sahal is made by genetical engineering. Right? We use genetical technology to make Run Sahal. And can you remember over there, right, over there in making Run Sahal, all the golden rice, this is also called as golden rice. So in making golden rice, my dear children, there was plenty of vitamin A. That's why it is in golden color. Why it carries vitamin A? Because from a certain bacterium or else by carrot plant, we insert the gene which is responsible in making vitamin A to the paddy plant. So when the paddy plant is going to produce the harvest, automatically vitamin A is also getting produced. Okay. So let's see what are the responses given. Producing variety of Run Sahal is an example for growing crops improved by biotechnology. Yes, that is the answer. Biotechnology means that's the genetical engineering process. So it's the answer. It should be our answer. Crop rotation incorrect. Using special plants, once again incorrect. Using chemically made plants, we are not going to use chemical substances over there, but we are going to improve, right? Or else we are going to recombine DNA with another organism to create new variety of substance over here. Here we are not going to use chemicals, so it is also incorrect. So a correct answer would be, my dear children, growing crops improved by biotechnology. That's a good example for the production of varieties of Run Sahal. Okay, right. Then the next one, good post-harvest technology. So we have to select a good one. Now that means a better example for post-harvest technology. Classifying and packaging the harvest. Correct. It's a good one because by that way we can select the larger ones and the smaller ones. We can select the quality ones and the ones which are not that much quality. Okay, by that way we can sort these things out. Okay. And the other thing is packaging the harvest. Of course, we need to package it. Okay, because now we are going to transport these things to a different location. No, so in order to do that, definitely we have to package it down. So it is correct. Okay, this is correct for sure. Transporting harvest in polythene bags. Okay, in polythene bags. Now let's see next one also. So actually, most of the times nowadays we use polythene bags for the transportation process, but however it's not healthy because you know that polythene is resistant to air and resistant to water. So you know that upon plant items and each and every food item contains some amount of water. So when sunlight is going to fall, what will happen? Water vapor is going to evaporate. Then within the polythene bags, water is getting retained. Because of that, my dear children, there is a possibility that these food items will get destroyed or spoiled very quickly. Okay, so we can't take that one as a good answer. However, let's look at the other one as well. Transporting harvest in a tightly packed cardboard box. Once again incorrect. No, if you transport these things in a tightly packed cardboard box, then what will happen? These things will squish down. Then what will happen? It will get spoiled very quickly. Okay, so we don't need to squash these things down. Okay, We have to generally store these things and we have to transport. So these two are incorrect. So our correct answer would be classifying and packaging the harvest. It is a good post-harvest technology, right? Okay then, question number 35. Practicing good post-harvest technology will increase. So the question is saying it will increase. Remember, it should increase. Okay, it should increase. Spoilage of food. Incorrect. Definitely it will not increase the spoilage of food, right? If you practice good post-harvest technology, then it will decrease the spoilage of food, not increase. Over there we discussed, in the previous question we discussed those things, no? So by using or by practicing good post-harvest technology, it will increase the lifetime. That means the food will be preserved, my dear children. So spoilage is minimized, not increased. Okay. Next one. Diseases caused by food poisoning. Of course, once again incorrect, no. It will not increase diseases caused by food poisoning, because if you are going to practice good post-harvest technology, that means the harvest is in very good quality. Okay. It means it will decrease diseases caused by food poisoning. Okay. Decrease, not increase. Next one. Lifetime of food. That's the correct answer, my dear children. Lifetime of food. Lifetime means the lifespan. That means, my dear children, here the food item can be preserved for a long time if you store it very well, if you follow the post-harvest technology. Color of the food, we would not be able to increase the color, and also with that given sentence it is not relevant, so we can ignore that thing. Okay. So our correct answer would be lifetime of the food. Lifetime of the food. Next one. Disadvantage of not practicing a good post-harvest technology. So here they are asking about disadvantage of not practicing good post-harvest technology. So you have to select a disadvantage. Let's see. Economic losses. Correct, my dear children. Economic losses are going to definitely occur, right? Because these things are going to squash down, and by that way we won't be able to sell the half or even more of the harvest. Okay, if it is getting squashed, then we won't be able to sell those things, no. So economic losses can happen. That is correct. Next one. Spoilage of food in short time. Once again correct, my dear children. So if you don't transport these things in a correct manner, the action of microbes will get increased, and when during the transportation process these will tear down, sometimes these things will get squashed. So in that case the action of microorganisms will also get increased, so the spoilage of food will also get increased, my dear children. So therefore spoilage of food in short time is a disadvantage. That is correct. Next one. Causing diseases. Once again correct, no. If you consume these things, if a certain person consume these things without knowing, then diseases will arise. Definitely diseases will arise, especially diseases related to the digestive tract. So all of these things are correct, my dear children. All of these things are disadvantages of not practicing good post-harvest technology. Always it is important to follow good post-harvest technology, right? Okay. So this is the answer for the question number 30. These are the answers for the question number 36 and 35. So let's move on to see the question number 37 then. Blank use chemical substances. So you have to select the ones which use chemical substances over here. Medicines, of course it is correct. You know that almost all the chemicals that all the medicines that we use are mainly made up with chemical substances. Without chemical substances, even we won't be able to create these medicines. Synthetically, made chemical substances are the ones which are responsible in making medicines, my dear children. So this is correct, medicine, right? No problem. Next one, paints. Of course it is correct. Several pigments and other kinds of substances and chemicals. We use these things in creation of chemical substances, or else chemical substances are used to create different kinds of paints. Okay. Next one, fertilizers. Of course it is correct, right? Several chemicals are included in fertilizers. So medicines, paints and fertilizers, all of these things use chemical substances. So all the above should be our answer. Next one, a natural disinfectant. Turmeric. Correct. Because when we are discussing the lesson part about the natural disinfectant, I told you about those Tamil and Hindi people. Can you remember, even in India for now, those people are using turmeric powder mixed water in order to destroy pathogenic microorganisms. Okay, so it is correct, my dear children. Turmeric, it is correct. Next one given, cinnamon oil. Okay, we don't know about the cinnamon oil, right? Then next one given, vinegar. And there is another response given as above all. So my dear children, which one is the correct answer? We know for sure that turmeric is correct. Then the other thing, cinnamon oil, clove bud oil, citronella oil. These things are called as essential oils. Almost all the essential oils are considered as natural disinfectants. Actually, this cinnamon oil, when there is a toothache, we use cinnamon oil in order to destroy pathogenic microorganisms in the tooth. Okay, so my dear children, cinnamon oil is a good example for natural disinfectant. Then vinegar, once again the same. Why is that? Because vinegar is a good acid. It's a good acidic substance, right? Vinegar. Okay, so therefore my dear children, it is also can be used as a disinfectant, vinegar. So all of these things are considered as natural disinfectants. Right then, question number 39. Natural medicinal substance that can be used as a cosmetic item. Natural medicinal substance. So they are asking about natural medicinal substance. So natural medicinal substance that can be used as a cosmetic item. That means by applying these substances, you can enhance the beauty. So what is the example? Let's go for the answers. Medicines. You know that most of the medicines are made chemically. So we won't be able to take that answer. Medicines are somewhat correct, but however, those things are chemically made, no. So we won't be able to take that answer. Okay, medicines are incorrect then. Next one, sandalwood. Sandalwood, my dear children. Can you remember when we are discussing about those cosmetic items, natural cosmetic items? I told you that we can use turmeric and sandalwood. So sandalwood should be our answer, right? Sandalwood should be our answer. But however, let's go for the other answers as well. Mercury, of course it is incorrect. Very terrible kind of a one. So this is you know that mercury is a heavy metal. So if you use mercury, then my dear children, severe conditions can occur like cancers. Okay. Then the next one, hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is a disinfectant. That means to destroy bacteria and to destroy pathogenic microorganisms, we used hydrogen peroxide. Most of the times to clean wounds, we use hydrogen peroxide. Okay, to clean wounds. So, however, this is incorrect because they are not asking about disinfectant, and the other thing is that this is a chemical substance, not a natural one. So, our correct answer would be sandalwood, my dear children, right? Sandalwood would be our correct answer. Sandalwood. Sandalwood is the natural cosmetic item which can be used in here, and that has several natural medicinal properties as well for sandalwood. Okay. Right then, question number 40. Main greenhouse gases emitted during burning of fuel. Main greenhouse gases emitted during burning of fuel: carbon dioxide and nitrogen. Carbon dioxide is correct. However, nitrogen is incorrect. Nitrogen gas, you know that our atmosphere has about like 78% of nitrogen gas. So, if it is a greenhouse gas, then we won't be able to live in planet Earth, right? So, therefore, my dear children, nitrogen gas is not a greenhouse gas. However, there are other components of nitrogen gas which are considered as, greenhouse gases, but nitrogen is not. Okay, so this is incorrect. Next one, carbon monoxide and nitrogen. Once again, my dear children, there is nitrogen, right? So therefore, we can't take this one as the answer. Next one, carbon dioxide and oxygen. Once again, incorrect. You know that our atmosphere has about 20% of oxygen, and even we respire oxygen gas. Okay, so it is not a greenhouse gas, my dear children. Oxygen is not a greenhouse gas. Then final one should be our answer. Let's see. Carbon dioxide and nitrogen dioxide. Of course, these two are the main greenhouse gases emitted during burning of fossil fuel or burning of any kind of a fuel. Okay, right. So our answers would be carbon dioxide and nitrogen dioxide for the 40th question, which is asking about the main greenhouse gases. Okay, right then. So this is question number 40. Then let's head on to observe the question number 41. Minimizing emission of greenhouse gases in transporting activities. So here they are asking about transporting activities, my dear children. Especially they are asking about transporting activities. So minimizing emission of greenhouse gases in transporting activities. So transporting activities means here they are going to talk about green transporting methods. Okay, green transportation. Can you remember? Here we are going to use, or here we are going to minimize the emission of greenhouse gases when we are using transportation methods. Okay, so that is what do you mean by green transportation. So minimizing emission of greenhouse gases in transporting activities is called not minimizing of vehicles, but not minimizing transport services. No, none of the above. Once again, that is also incorrect. So our correct answer would be what? The green transportation, right? It is called as the green transportation. Here we are going to minimize the emission of greenhouse gases when we are making our transportations. Okay, right. Then the 42nd question. Practice followed in a green building concept. Green building concept. What do you mean by a green building concept? Now, green building concept means, my dear children, here we are not going to paint it by green color, right? Just the concept now there. Here the building is following green concept theory. That's what do you mean by green building concept. Okay, right. So let's see the responses. Use energy efficiently. Correct. We have to use efficiently. We have to use these energy efficiently. Efficiently means we have to use up to its maximum potential. We should not waste it. Okay, so it is correct. Minimizing burning fossil fuel. Correct. Once again, correct. It's a good practice followed in a green building concept. In making or when doing the construction, we have to minimize the fuel burning process. By that way, we can minimize the emission of different kinds of effluents such as carbon dioxide and nitrogen dioxide. Okay, so it is correct. Presence of green plants in the premises. Once again, correct, my dear children. Can you remember? In a housing complex, right, or else in a building, it's important to have at least few plants. within the premises in order to follow the green concept method. So my dear children, the third one is also correct. So all of these practices are followed in a green building concept. So all of these things are correct. Then we are moving on to question number 43. Question number 43. Facilitating transporting methods through waterways such as streams and rivers is an example for. So here, facilitating transporting methods, reflecting about this question is reflecting about transporting methods. Okay, so facilitating transporting methods through waterways. Here we are going to use waterways, my dear children. Then by boats, by yachts, or else by any other rafts like thing. Okay. In here, you know that the emission of gases, carbon dioxide and other different kinds of gases is getting minimized, because most of the times, my dear children, we are using boats or any other different kind of a thing in order to travel through the waterways. Especially here we are using rafts or any other like boats or any other structure, right? So these things, most of the times these things are not going to use fuel. So my dear children, it's not talking about the minimization of vehicles, right? So it's not also minimizing transport services using fuel. Actually it is, right? But however, this is not an example for this kind of a procedure, right? So this is reflecting about the green transportation, my dear children, right? This is reflecting, it is a good example for green transportation, right? Okay then. Practice followed to minimize the foot mile. Practice which is followed to minimize the foot mile. So can you remember what do you mean by the foot mile? Foot mile means, my dear children, distance by which a certain food item traveled from producer to the consumer. Okay, distance by which a food item traveled from producer to a consumer is called the food mile. Okay, so let's see in which answer has the lowest food mile. Usage of organic fertilizer, consuming locally grown food, growing plants to have good forest cover. Above all, usage of organic fertilizer. So this is irrelevant, right? They are asking to minimize or short down the food mile. That means food is already been prepared in some place else. We have to calculate the distance which the food is going to travel over there. Okay. In that case, to reduce the food mile, my dear children, the usage of organic fertilizer is not going to affect. Even sometimes there can be food items which are being prepared abroad by using organic fertilizer. However, when those food items are coming to Sri Lanka, the food mile is very high because traveling from one place to another, actually from one country to another. So it is irrelevant. Next one. Consuming locally grown food. Now that should be our answer, my dear children, because you know that we can minimize the distance which the food item is going to travel by minimizing the distance, or by minimizing the distance which the food item is going to travel from producer to the consumer. Okay, so by growing foods locally, right, you can minimize that distance of food item which is going to travel. Then growing plants to have a good forest cover, once again it is irrelevant. So our answer would be second one, consuming locally grown food. Next one. Food mile is the distance which a food traveled from producer to consumer. Distance which food is traveled through our digestive system. Distance which food is traveled to get decomposed. None of the above. So like I said, can you remember when I was discussing the earlier question, I told you what is the meaning of food mile. So food mile is very simple, my dear children. It is the distance which a food traveled from producer to the consumer. From producer to consumer, the total length or the total distance which a food item has traveled is considered as the food mile. Next one. Water footprint is footprint of an animal created in water. Incorrect, right? So let me remind you what does the water footprint is. So when a certain product or else a good is being created, right, we know that some amount of fresh water is being utilized. It can be any kind of a product. So the amount of fresh water utilized when preparing goods or substances can be referred as the water footprint of that particular substance. For an individual, the amount of water, fresh water utilized by the individual with a given certain time period. It's very simple. Now let's go and check the answers. So footprint of an animal created in water. Incorrect. Incorrect. Distance of which water traveled from well to a consumer. Once again incorrect. Distance of which water traveled from a reservoir to a consumer. This is not talking about the distance which traveled, my dear children. It's talking about, or it's reflecting about the amount of water, right? Volume of fresh water utilized during a production. Then fourth one should be our answer. Let's see. The amount of fresh water utilized in the production or supply of the goods. Yes, this is our answer. Like I said, it is the amount or the volume of water which has been utilized, right, during the production or the supply of goods. So this should be our answer. Question for the question number 46. Then the next one, carbon footprint. Okay, then asking about the carbon footprint. So carbon footprint is the, right, the amount of carbon dioxide gas emitted by a certain individual within a certain time period. Okay, this is what do you mean by the carbon footprint, my dear children. You know that each and every organism is going to emit carbon in the form of carbon dioxide. Okay, so carbon footprint is the amount of carbon dioxide released by a certain person or else a certain organism within a given certain time period. So now let's see what are the given responses. The distance which a carbon based product traveled from producer to a consumer. Incorrect, right? It's not going to reflect about the carbon footprint. Distance which carbon in food is traveled. Incorrect. It's not talking about it's not reflecting about the distance which a carbon based product is going to travel. Okay, next one. Amount of carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere within a given time period by an individual. Yes, this should be our answer. Carbon footprint is the amount of carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere within a given time period by an individual, right? This is the carbon footprint. And the next one, given amount of carbon contained in a city. Once again incorrect, right? It's not the carbon footprint. Right, next one. Reduction of carbon footprint will increase. Reduction will increase. Reduction will increase. Environment pollution. No, incorrect. Environment pollution is reduced with the reduction of carbon footprint, my dear children. Because when releasing less amount of carbon dioxide, the environment pollution is definitely going to reduce. So it is correct, right? So this is incorrect. Amount of carbon dioxide in atmosphere, amount of carbon dioxide in air, quality of air. So reduction of carbon footprint will increase. Amount of carbon dioxide in atmosphere. Actually, there should be a certain amount of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. So if you reduce the carbon footprint, however, we won't be able to reduce carbon dioxide gas in our atmosphere. Why? Because we are respiring. No. So during the respiration, you know that certain amount of carbon dioxide gas is getting expelled to the environment. So we won't be able to reduce carbon dioxide gas in our atmosphere or in our air. However, my dear children, with the reduction of carbon footprint, the quality of air will get increased because of, right, because of the reduction in carbon dioxide and other gases in the environment. Now you know that if you burn something, the amount of carbon dioxide in a particular area will increase. If you burn something, okay, and also the quality of air will drop down. So reduction of carbon footprint will definitely increase the quality of air. It will not increase the amount of carbon dioxide in atmosphere when you reduce it. And also the same thing, atmosphere and air, both things are same, no? However, my dear children, with the reduction of carbon footprint, it will increase the quality of air. Okay, it will increase the quality of air. Then the 49th question. Select the correct answer once more. Okay, so you have to select the correct answer out of the 4 given. Number 1, green concept means growing plants as much as possible. Incorrect. Green concept is not growing plants as much as possible, right? Green concept is reflecting about minimizing the effluents which are getting entered to the environment. Okay. Next one. Green concept do not concern how energy is produced. Actually it does. So it is incorrect. Green concept is considering how energy is getting produced in a certain state or certain area. Because if you burn fuel to generate electricity, then my dear children, it is not accordance with the, or it is not going to follow the green concept model. Okay, so it does going to provide, or it is going to provide a certain concern about how energy is produced. Okay, so it is incorrect. Using solar energy is not a green concept. Using solar energy is not a green concept. Once again incorrect. Because using solar energy, the main energy source in our planet Earth, the main renewable energy source in our planet Earth is solar energy. So my dear children, generating electricity by solar energy is a good concern, or else it is a good practice that can be observed in green concept. So it is incorrect. Then the final one should be our answer. Let's see. Generating energy in a complex itself, is a green concept. This is correct, my dear children. Generating energy in a complex itself, that means we are not going to use any external forms of energy. I mean, like, we are not going to use energy given out from the grids. So that means energy needed for the complex, or for the system, or for the housing, or whatever the complex, that energy is produced within itself. So it is a good example for a green concept. Next one, 50th question. Select the incorrect answer. So here you have to select the incorrect answer. Remember, incorrect answer. Right. It is important to reduce chemical fertilizer by 100% in green concept. It is important to reduce chemical fertilizer by 100% in green concept. Green concept is not going to stay like that, right? 100% reduction in chemical fertilizer. Like I said, we won't be able to do farming without chemicals, my dear children. Up to a certain level we need to add. I told you that we have to gradually reduce it. We have to gradually reduce the consumption of it. Otherwise, the country will fall into a terrible problem. Okay? So we have to gradually reduce it. Actually, we have to terminate 100%. That's for sure we have to do. But not all of a sudden, but by step by step. Okay? So we can't take this thing as a good answer. Here you have to select the most appropriate answer. Okay? So cutting down, it is important, or cutting down these things by 100% is not a green concept. We cannot consider as a green concept. Next one, reduction of food mile is a green concept. That is correct, my dear children. Reduction of food mile is a green concept because lesser the food item which is going to travel from producer to consumer, higher the sustainability, right? Higher the sustainability, right? Next one, using only organic fertilizer to grow crops is a green concept. That can be taken. Using only organic fertilizer to grow crops is a green concept. That can be taken as a good answer, right? It is correct, no problem. Using organic fertilizer to enhance the soil fertility is a green concept. Once again correct. So which one is the incorrect one? According to the given 4 sentences, my dear children, the incorrect one is the first one. This is according to the sentences given in the question, okay? Right? Remember, it's important to cut down the chemical fertilizers. However, all of a sudden, we can't do it. Okay? We have to stage by stage, we have to minimize it. That's the correct method to do. Because you know that upon putting different kinds of chemical effluents to the soil to increase the soil fertility, now the soil gets used to it. So we have to gradually cut down those chemical substances, not all of a sudden. Okay. So following green concept means, my dear children, we have to have our comfort as well. Okay. We have to think about the environment and as well as ourselves. Okay. We are not going to ignore ourselves and just going to care about the environment. Right? Here there should be a balance. So according to this statement, the balance is getting broken. So therefore our answer should be the first one. Okay. Right, my dear children. So we have discussed 50 MCQ questions regarding the green concept lesson part. Okay, under the extra questions. So in the next chapter, we'll discuss even more questions, somewhat essay type questions related to the green concept lesson, right? However, I'll be teaching those things, or I'll be discussing those things with you guys in our next chapter.
To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.